to introduce ourselves first, and then we'll get started. Start on the left.
Oh, sorry. My name is Salim Grant, Silius, Lead Mechanics designer.
My name is Paul Carrico. I post as Frizznik on boards. Nandy, I post as Zoltaroth on the forums.
Yeah.
I'm Greg Spence, Rothgar on the forums, lead programmer.
And I'm Emily Taylor, Domino on the forums.
She wins.
I'm lost. We're just glad we're starting now because it's Tradeskills and housing. So I'll just talk very briefly about some of the housing stuff, and then I'll hand over to Frizznik, who is our Tradeskill guru now, and he'll tell you all about the exciting stuff for Tradeskills. So, Prestige Homes, just wanted to do a little recap. As you will recall, we introduced the first Prestige Home actually last Fan Faire. That was the Skyblade Skiff. And that was pretty awesome, I think. I still haven't finished decorating mine, but it's getting there. Multiple house ownership was also introduced this year, up to 10 homes per person at the moment, and that's something that we're sort of still evaluating as an ongoing thing, so that may change in the future. We're discussing it. One thing that's going to be improved with the Prestige Homes, we're going to be replacing that ever-growing group of portals, which are in South Kinos and South Freeport, with one single house directory that will allow you to visit any Prestige home from any city. So it'll basically be one single point, you click, you get a list. And then I just have a sneak peek at some of the upcoming Prestige homes that you may see in the Station Marketplace in the next couple of months. Just a little teaser. So this is pretty awesome. It's based on the Don't Wipe the Looks amazing. I mean, this zone practically doesn't need decorating. It looks so great already, but I'm looking forward to seeing how our decorators make it look even better, because I know you will. And you want to know thought. So you now have your own private island refuge up in the Tenebrous Tangle. As you can see, there's a little water feature in the corner. We've kept it pretty flat so you can play stuff without much issue. So yeah, undecorated it does look a little plain, but I know it's going to look awesome once people get their hands on it. And the other thing to do with housing was the house rating system. This was mentioned a little bit in previous panels, but basically it's planned for August with our game update 61. It's going to allow homeowners to submit their homes for ranking on a server-wide leaderboard. It'll allow visitors to your home, or to any home, to rate the homes they visit in a number of different categories. So once your house decoration is complete, you'll use your house access window. There'll be another tab there, and you'll be able to click a button to publish your home into the list. So, you know, if you're saying it's available for rating, it's ready. And you can include one screenshot with the little listing, and then people can click in to visit and see the whole thing. While you've listed a house for rating, the items in it are locked, so you can't move them. We don't want you to list a house saying this is ready for rating and then totally rearrange things, because then the ratings wouldn't be standard. But if you want to change the decorations, just unlist the house. That will unlock the house items, and you can start moving them again, and then you can relist it when you're ready. So how do you rate a home? Well, the new ratings window is going to allow you to search for published houses by category. Probably by layout groups, for example, all Kinos 5 rooms or something like that. We're still finalizing the categories for certain. You can also view the houses by current rating, by most recent, by your friends, possibly other options like that. We want to make the sorting as easy and intuitive as possible to find what you want to go to. You can view the screenshot of the house that the user submitted, and then if it looks interesting and if seems like something you want to visit, just click a visit button, you'll go straight there. And when you enter a new house, via clicking on that visit option in the ratings window, a rating button will appear. It'll pop up on your screen, and you can use that to rate the house in various categories. Currently, we are planning categories including style and creativity. We may add more in the future. We can start small and see, I guess, how it goes and what people want in terms of other categories. And this is just a mock-up that Rothgar has made. It's probably going to change slightly from this, but this is the general idea. So you can see over on the far side there, you've got possible categories that we might group houses into. In the center, there are the details of the houses in the category you've selected. And down at the far corner in the bottom, awards that the house has won or that you have won.
Bring down Zoltaroth's house.
This is just a mock-up. Of course, his house will be much better rated. So that's it for housing. So I'm going to hand you over to Frizznik to talk about the Tradeskills stuff.
Excuse my voice. I misplaced it. So let's see. I just wanted to talk about a few things that's going to be coming up in the year. At the end, I'll talk about some other things that aren't on the slides, but because of the rapid development, we don't have anything directly to show. So the main ones are the house signs, the Frostwell crafting instance, and then the crafting AA window. The Carpenter created house signs. These things are pretty neat. So you can right-click on this new furniture that you place in your house. You can put a name. You can put a name on the sign and then what the sign would say. That can hold up to 250 different characters. So I know I've been to a lot of roleplay pubs where they rely on books so you can see what's going on or whatever. But I think this would be much more convenient for them to, say the rules of the pub or whatever. So carpenters will make these, and then Nathan and I were wanting to do something a little different for Frostville. Usually they get a whole bunch of recipes to make, which is cool, but we wanted them to be a little bit more active. So you'll be able to go into these things with a group. They'll work like the missions do. They'll be a little faster to complete than those. What you're doing is upgrading boxes layer while she's out. Something may or may not happen. You don't have to do it to see. And then the crafting AA window. So we finally split off into a new window. Some of the things will move over from the Shadows tab, like the durability, the double harvest chance. And then the inlines are pretty exciting because it's going to increase your chance of harvesting rare items, or it'll give you a chance to make the item without using any of the components, just like the shawl does. So you need to buy 10 points in each row before you can move down to the next row, and then you can spend a total of 25 points. So you could buy whatever you like in there. So that's all I had to exactly show, but I know Dave was talking about the Tradeskills apprentice. That guy's changing a lot in the last couple of days. We've been talking about the development of it and what he would be used for. It kind of started out as just a little project to see if you could get a guy in your house and treat him kind of like a guild amenity, where you could dress him up with the mannequin and have him do different little trade skill recipes for you, and also help you level up crafting or help you discover new recipes or whatnot. Sorry, guys. So some form of that's still going to go in, I think. And then I think he also talked about the best in slot items that Salim and I have been working on. That kind of stuff is like, if you're a woodworker, you'll always make the best non-raid bow in the game. So if you're a woodworker, you can make really awesome bows that are heirloom to equip all your characters. So it would benefit you personally a lot to have a lot of crafters to make items for you and your own characters. Just trying to make the things you're making a little more exciting, which goes in with the level 20 to 90 revamp of items. That stuff's going to turn out to be really great, I think, and you get a lot of power that way. So that's all I really have to show. So I guess we could move right into Q&A if you guys have any questions. Yeah, if you don't mind, it's going on forward.
Can I, one quick one. The new AAs for Tradeskills. What if you've already got level 90? How do you get the AAs?
It's from the same pool. That's why it's kind of limited to only
I mean,
25
like
points.
if you're, if you're building up from 20, you're earning AAs or something, But if you already got level 90.
It's the same points. We're not making a separate, we're not producing a separate trade skill AA pool. It's just, if you're a trade skiller and you want to devote some of your points to those, then you would do that.
It's the same AA points.
Yeah, it's the same. So you got yeah.
Your character.
Come on, guys, come on. We talked about a separate pool. If that happens in the future, maybe, maybe not, but we didn't commit to that because, I mean, if you want to switch into that, you can swap builds with an AA mirror or stuff like that. So if you want to go trade skilling and use it, just swap your build, use those.
But then you're going to have
to do that stuff.
We're going to have another add-on to that. If you're going to use AA mirrors, you might have to have 3 times for AA mirrors. Trade skillers, you know, like, and if you're like a healer, like a battle healer, and then a healing.
So as far as AA mirrors go,
You can right now.
we're talking about making AA mirrors more portable and things like that, and having them do more builds. But that's a whole other discussion.
Just wonder if you do like 3 instead of 2. There's a line.
What I'd like to ask is it possible that when we're crafting things, we can place them inside the house rather than having to put them on a mannequin. So that way it allows us to open up dress shops and armor shops and have people come in and see our wares and say, hey, I want that one. Because as an example, we have a lot of tailors in our guild that we have no clue all the different items that they can make. Is that a possibility you guys might be able to do that?
I guess I wasn't following.
Okay, rather than having to have the tailor or the armorsmith put a mannequin out, which you have to have rares and you have to have somebody that can craft them. In other games that we've played, we've been able to drop an item, set up a dress shop, and have a display of our dresses, a display of the armor that we could make. And then people can go in and they can say, hey, you know, I understand that you can make that blue dress. I'd like to order that from you. And then the crafter would go and make it. Is it possible that we can have the item stores, we can just drop them in our house and set up displays and decorate with them?
You just want to display it without the mannequin?
Without the mannequin. Being able to set these items down without having to use a mannequin to put them on.
It's very easy for a carpenter to make a furniture store, but it's extremely expensive for a tailor to make a clothing store because the mannequins require rares.
Right.
She's talking like Star Wars guys.
Plain and simple.
Yeah.
What if the mannequins didn't require the rares? Would that be acceptable?
That would be acceptable.
Yeah.
Making that happen.
Yeah, I'm
Holding it
I'll take a look at
I have a question for the house rating, your publishing and unpublishing. If somebody publishes their house and so they can move stuff around, you said you wanted to keep the housing rating static or non-static. That was fair. Will the rating change when they unpublish a house?
So if I understand your question correctly, are you talking about the actual ratings that you've received from people?
Right.
Yeah, so when you unpublish, you'll unfortunately lose the ratings and awards when you republish. Part of that is because you could unpublish, completely pick everything up, throw it back out there, and say you were number 1 on the leaderboard. Everybody's going to be clicking your house because you're number 1, and they're going to show up and your house will be empty. And they're going to be like, why am I visiting an empty house? Why did this get rated so high? So we know that you guys don't like the idea of probably locking and having that flexibility, but in order, if you're going to be driving people to your house, we want to be sure that what they're coming to see is reflected by the ratings that they see, which is kind of why we have to have that happen. So it's not quite as bad now since you can own multiple homes. You can probably keep your one functional house that you would probably never publish, and that's where you put all your useful stuff. And we think that a lot of people will use their extra houses they buy as like works of art. You know, you're going to get them exactly the way you want them, and you're going to publish them, and you'll leave it up until you get tired of it and you want to tear it down and build something different like Lego or whatever. So So yeah, unfortunately, they will reset when you republish.
First of all, huge thank you on the Felwith Mansion. That's actually where my RP tune wanted to get married, and I was trying to figure out how to make that happen, and you have just solved that problem. So, thank you.
Excellent. We aim to please.
Guild halls. When Halas was introduced, it got the old crappy Kinos Tier 1 guild hall. When are we going to see some guild hall life? I would love to see a new guild hall. Especially like the Halas. I mean, it shouldn't get an old crappy Kinos Tier 1 hall, it should get something cool.
Yeah.
Perhaps maybe Tier 2 Halas guild halls that are actually something new and different.
I think it's just a matter of time. None of us dislike the idea. We'd love to be able to see custom, guild halls for each area. But I think the problem just came down to time commitments with our art department because it does take some time to make those, and we didn't have the time to do it then. And I guess then it would probably pose the question, what about the guild halls for the other cities too that were themed? So since we didn't have the time to do it, we wanted to give you access to the current ones that we have. But that may be something we do in the future.
Cool. Right now, searching through recipes is a pain. I do a ton of commission crafting, and usually it's somebody coming up to me saying, I need every spell from 81 to 90. Is there any way that we can get a better recipe search and filtering function, kind of akin to like what we have on the broker, where you can do an advanced search on the broker with all kinds of criteria, but advanced search in the recipe book is 5 criteria, and I have to say all of which suck. I really want to see a better advanced search function in the recipe book, especially when you're pushing 5,000 recipes.
Yeah, we agree. We'd love to do that too. So it's something that we'd like to see. We just have to get it worked into the schedule.
Cool. Thank you.
I got a couple of questions. Does the current Bountiful Harvest skill, the AA line, and I guess the new Shaw, does that give you that equivalent bonus to get a rare as well, or is that just normal?
Well, it just completely resets the second time. So
that second time you still have the same chance of getting a rare.
Right.
So it should, if you have 5% Bountiful Harvest bonus, you should get 5%.
yeah, it'd be per roll. So if you roll twice, be aware of that.
The crafting gear that you get from the trade skill instances, the stuff that comes in different sets of colors and it gives you bonuses.
The Mara gear.
Yeah,
The Farsi set.
yeah, the Farsi set. I read on a forum about a year or two ago that armor was bugged and that it gives you a 5% bonus to success, but if your success is negative, it also increases the negative success 5%. So in effect, it doesn't really help you all that much. Are you guys aware of that?
That's the first I've heard of it.
We're saying we fixed that, so yeah.
I know that this is something that one of our coders was looking at, and I was under the impression that he had fixed it now.
Okay.
If
We'll double check to make
that's
sure.
not the case, please do let us know, but I was definitely under the impression it had been fixed.
Yeah, it's real hard to tell when, as a user, but
I think it was 2 or 3 game updates ago that they would have been included, I believe.
Okay, and one last thought, adornments for crafting gear.
I think we've talked about that, but I wouldn't really have a lot of detail about it.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank you guys for this fantastic presentation you put on, all the hard work you've given, and for giving us this opportunity to give you some feedback and questions as well. I really think that's great, and I want to thank you. I have just 2 questions. I probably have a million, but I came up with 2 that I've been kind of kicking around the back of my mind. One of them is, would it be possible for us to take screenshots in the game, because I take some really cool screenshots, convert them by my carpenter into paintings I can put on the wall in my house? Including a screenshot of my character. Yes. A painting, a portrait.
Yeah, I mean, anything like that is possible. It's something we could do. It does open up a couple of problems. We've talked about that kind of thing before with kind of user-generated content. The problem is, number one, you kind of open yourself up to, potential abuse of that system. So we'd have to have
Sensors, I know.
Yeah, we'd have to have everything in place to handle that. The other issue is just more an issue of assets. For you to make the screenshot, it then needs to be uploaded to some sort of central server. And then when people come into your house, they'd have to download all those assets to fill those things in. So it could potentially bloat the install size of EQ2 on your hard drive for every house you visit because you're getting custom images. So it's definitely possible. We would just have to deal with those issues. So it's something we haven't really considered doing
Keep
yet.
it on the back burner.
All right.
One other question, and this is to do with crossfell, and I'm glad you mentioned that because it reminded me. I was thinking what would be really cool, you watch those skaters, those ice skaters going around all the time, and they're doing basically the flourish gesture. Would it be possible to have a little crossfell quest where we have to help somebody find their lost skates, and in a reward, we get a pair of skates, and we can actually skate on the ice doing that little flourish dance. I just thought that would be really fun.
I'd have to look into it and see how that works. It might be an animation.
Yeah, animation, last one.
It might look like a little human or whatever, but it might be a special. You know what I mean? It might not map directly over. I take it.
I just thought it would be kind of fun thing to have.
I want to ask you about house allotment. Are you going to up the house allotment for items instead of like someone just only having 500, and we can get expanders to bring it up like 300 more, safety cash, and the wizards can make. But is there a way we can get that number up higher?
If we did, would you promise never to raise it again? Or I think we just raised it.
Oh, did you?
Well, when we added the room, we raised it, so we gave you more space, but we added some more. Yeah, I mean that's something that comes up all the time, and it's just a balancing act of trying to give you enough to be creative with, but trying not to choke people's computers by zoning into 1,000 cats wandering around. We'll think about it.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out a way to balance this out. I've been playing for 7 years, and I've not been able to attend every event. And there's been some wonderful events, and you get some special event items that are not available ever again. And I don't want to take away that special item for those people, but using the Frozen Shard of Magic, type of thing, it's been a table drop. Maybe we could put something like that in the crafting instances, so that we can go back and craft something we just never had an opportunity to get. The only maybe balance that out. I don't know if that's even possible. I don't want to take away that special item those people that were able to attend those events got and make it less special, but at least let an opportunity to maybe craft something, do something to adventure for it.
Well, that's an interesting idea, and I think Smoke Jumper kind of answered this question already in the last panel. We don't want to remove the uniqueness of many of those items. It was kind of cool that you got it, and if it's not available now, then that makes it a cool look what I have. We do continue adding new cool things, so you can continue to get those new things. The suggestion about maybe making some of them available through a rare method, it's interesting. We can talk about it. It's never going to be all of them though, because we would still want some to be new and cool. And there are some items, like the lawn paintings that was mentioned in the last panel, that we can't give away. But I'll mention it to Kate Thiel, and I don't know, we can consider it, but we can't promise anything.
There's one other thing to consider about that. People who did go to those events for those unique items, they essentially paid real money for those items. So letting you have a late game to just get them for free, it kind of would rub people the wrong way. Outside of it being unique, it's also, I came to this event, part of the reason I paid to go to the event was to get these cool items for free.
Well, there's 1 year I couldn't go to Frostville at all for the whole month. It was gone. So anything that was a Frostville dropped in, I couldn't do. So that's that. I mean, that's a free event. Everybody goes.
Sorry, I should have all fans playing that. I'm sorry. Strike that from the record. I'm not ordered.
They bought the race change potion in the marketplace, apparently. And gender. Surprise.
I've got a two-part question, and it's dealing with the secondary trade skills, specifically transmuting and adornment. Right now, the way it stands, if you've got an adornment on an item, you have an equal chance to get whatever item when you transmute it versus one that doesn't have an adornment. Is there any way to either A, kind of de-augment, de-adorn that item so you can either not get the actual adornment back, but get maybe the rare that went into it, or maybe just one of the, a possibility of one of the components so that you can get at least a little something back from having that adornment on the gear that you transmute. See what I'm saying? Either de-augment it or make it to where when you transmute you get two adornments.
I don't think it's a bad suggestion, but I mean the nature of adornments is they're supposed to leave the economy, and by even giving the rare back, we're essentially turning that adornment into something else. So we do want them to go away because that's what keeps people who make them making money. But I mean, it seems like a sensible thing. It's something we could look at for sure and see if we can find a balance. But that's so cool.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the rare, just one of the components that went in to make it.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
if it's tier 7, then one of the components, it might be the rare, or it might be the powder or the shard.
I don't know. I mean, the adornment's basically like an attunable item. And saying that is almost saying, like, can't I dismantle my armor and get the rare back from that also?
That's why I'm saying
But
it doesn't necessarily have to be the rare. It can be the same. If you're,
I mean, I understand. We both understand what you're saying, and I think it's a worthwhile suggestion to look at. But I couldn't make any promises. Not certainly something that it's all super high on our list to consider.
Yeah, it's all doable. Obviously, it just comes down to a question of economy. We want to balance the economy. We're all aware that there's inflation in the game, and we're trying to find things to combat the inflation, and things that do that make items more permanent go in the opposite of inflation. So we just have to look at how it would affect the economy and want to do the best thing for the long-term health of the game. It might seem like an immediate cool thing, but how will that affect things, in several years from now?
right, and I understand that. And another possibility would be just a minute increase in the chance for when you transmute, say, a legendary item or a fabled item. Just a slight increase in the chance that they will get the higher component back.
When they're adorned, or you're talking about?
Yeah, when they're adorned,
I mean,
because it's already got the adornment on it, maybe get it a 0.01%.
But think about it another way. You would never transmute something unless it had an adornment in it. You'd find the cheapest adornments you could, throw them in there just to modify it a chance. So that's the type of stuff that we have to think about.
Okay.
But I mean, like I said, the suggestion it's a good suggestion. It's just there are some holes that we have to try to fill if we want to implement that.
I can't say I'm a real avid trade skiller because I'm not. But as far as trade skills go, we haven't heard anything about a level cap increase. And as an armorer, a lot of times, people do grab stuff for their alts, but for the most part, trade skilled armor minus the Rothgar gear, of course, the tier 1. The trade skilled armor is pretty much useless for any top level player. Is there anything being looked for both armorers, weaponsmiths, even tailors, things like that, where most of what they're making isn't really used anymore?
Every item in the game is being re-itemized to use current mechanics. In that process, the trade skill stuff is currently on test, at least the first phase of it. In that process, Frizznik and I talked about where we wanted the power of handcrafted and mastercrafted to lie. Handcrafted is actually getting bumped up to be on par with quest rewards. Legendary or mastercrafted is staying kind of where it's intended to be, something you can get to prop you into a dungeon that dungeons obviously have a little bit better. We're hoping that as a part of the revamp and trade skill stuff being relevant again, that there will be more desire for things like the armor, weapons, things like that. And on top of that, at the top end of the game, with the stat changes we're making, more stats will be desired, and trade skill items will obviously have their particular setup for stats, whereas drop stuff will have different setups for stats. So hopefully, in general, players will find, hey, this trade skill sword has multi-attack and DPS, and I want that because I haven't gotten a drop that has a particular combination.
Hi, I buy a lot of materials off the broker, and the first thing I do is I put them in a guild box, and that's click intensive. Is there any way to add a button to automatically buy into the guild box?
It's a good suggestion. We'll write it down and keep it in mind.
On the Tradeskills AAs, since they're pulling from the same pool as our adventure AAs, does that mean that level capped Tradeskillers, the AA, the XP that they get for crafting items will now convert to AA XP?
Yes.
No, there wasn't plans for it. I mean, because it's only 25 more AA you're spending. I mean, you can get that just by doing the trade school quest as you as well. You know, faster.
Yeah, well, except that all of us already have level capped Tradeskillers aren't doing all those quests to get those 25 AA.
You got a level 90 trade.
You got 6 level 90s already.
I think the other problem might be because the pools are not being separated, and you can sit there as a level 90 trade skiller and never adventure and get a bunch of adventuring AAs as a trade skiller, but unless you can do that already anyway.
Well, yeah, not to mention that already anyway, level 90 adventurer could stack up on the trade skill AA so that they go in as level 1 trade skiller with all the skills they need.
So why not the other way? I think the current trade skill quests are probably in the right area, but if you've done them all, then you should have got enough AAs to buy all of the trade skill AAs that are being added. So, well, if you want more, because you've used those already on adventure AAs, then go out and adventure some more. But I think Salim's point was excellent, that if we directly allowed all trade skill XP, like from writs and stuff, to give you AAs that could be used for adventuring, I'm afraid we'd have an issue with people just going AFK and doing nothing but craft, which we want to avoid. We'll definitely take this back and discuss it.
Yeah, but I mean, think about the fact that, I mean, even if you're grinding at max level for adventuring-wise for AA, there's actually some effort put into that. You have to move around, you have to go in dungeons and find a place to kill mobs. I know. I understand, not everyone has to but either way.
Or you can hire a mercenary that we're getting, and just sit there and let the mercenary kill everything. Like, the adventurers have all the exploits they want to get this stuff.
I mean, come on, guys. I mean, think about. I understand what you're saying, but I mean, ideally, just in the process, you have to actually go out and adventure and grind to those A's, whereas you can sit in your guild hall and just essentially AFK AA grind for adventuring stuff. I mean, we want to try to avoid those things. I understand that people buy whatever adventuring wise. I know people do that, but in general, we want to avoid introducing more stuff that people would do that.
Unfair factors to it. Adventures to it is not unfair.
It's something we want to prevent in both cases.
It's not
the same amount of work. It takes me the same amount of time. It's crafting, it's less adventure. Why is my crafting kind of less important tonight?
It's not less important. I think just because somebody can choose to cheat doesn't mean that we need to lower the entire game to that bar. We want to discourage
Well, then
that.
why are you lowering it for us to get the AAs?
Where you want to work that just as hard. You push the same button. My trade skill bar, number 1, 2, 3, and 4 are my main spells and my mystic. I push those same buttons at the same action. It's just as difficult for me to play with my mystic, who is a tailor, as it is for my tailor as a tailor. It's the same effort.
Well, let's look at it this way. We've got a very small number of trade skill AAs, and we've got a smaller number of ways in which trade skillers can get AA XP, which is the quests. We would like to probably maintain about the same proportion of the work that you do to get AAs to be divided between crafting ways and adventuring ways. Now, this is a good point, and we will discuss it further. But I think that pretty much sums it up. We're going to try and maintain that ratio, and that seems like the fairest way of doing it. Could we get the next question?
I was just waiting for you to go. First, I want to say is that 2 years ago. First, I'd like to say is 2 years ago, I stood up here and I asked you guys about more room for our housing. because we were running out of room to put things. And you guys not only delivered, you exceeded, and I'm very, very thankful for it. Really appreciate it. But I would like to say, and on another point, I think another lady brought it up much earlier, is that the mannequins require a rare. And now that the quests are giving us appearance armor, it's 15 to 20 plat on my server to buy this rare, or 2 day plus trying to harvest it. So could you remove that rare so we can get that appearance armor out of our bank?
Yeah, I think I said earlier.
Yeah, I wrote it down. I'm going to go ahead and see that.
Okay.
If there's any problems.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. With all the cool prestige homes that you guys have created, you love, is there a possibility that we're going to have any that are connected to a quest for our race, class, or even trade skillers?
It's possible. We haven't specifically planned any at the moment, but when we brought out prestige homes, the plan has always been they'd be available, from a variety of different sources, and we've had some given away at Fan Faire, we've got some in lawn decks, we've had some given away in other events. I'm drawing a blank here, sorry. We've got some in the marketplace. There's one that's dropping from my Talonzak. So we are seeing an increasing variety of ways to get them. It's certainly not out of the question that we'll have some that will be quested, or who knows. But yeah, we don't have it firmed up yet. There's no immediate plan.
I think it'd be cool, for example, if there was a quest connected to a race, for instance, where they did quests related to the history of their particular race, and in the little room or whatever would be a reflection of that.
That would be really interesting. It might be, just in terms of our resources, a little problematic to make that many different houses for all of our different races that only one race can use. But, I mean, the kind of uniqueness that you're looking for, we're certainly trying to keep in mind as we think of new ideas.
Okay.
Yes, I just thought I'd say that I don't know anything about computers and stuff, but I imagine the work you guys put into all this is immense, and we all appreciate it. I have one question that when you've got chairs in your houses, chairs, sofas, love seat, what have you, you try to sit on them, even if about 5 inches off, because the back is solid and you can't quite line up. Is there a way to fix it, like maybe make the back walk through like some furniture pieces are, or I mean, I don't understand anything about programming, so.
We'd have to look at some examples of which chairs you're talking about, I guess, and see. We can definitely make adjustments to how that works out.
Okay, thank you.
There are some chairs you can't even sit in.
Yeah, I'm aware of the ones you mean. We're going to need to talk to our art team about that, because none of us are quite qualified, but we'll definitely put it on the list and discuss it with them.
Yeah, Pete, send me a PM on the boards. All the chairs that broke them over.
I actually have 2 questions, one for housing and one for trade skill. I'll start with the trade skill first. I was thinking there's 9 different types of trade skillers, and I would assume that it would be nice to have a raid with all the different types, and you could get maybe some sort of fabled charm that's kind of rare to get for a specific one of them that you could get. It doesn't have any stats on it really, but it could give you a prompt for adventuring that could help you out. I don't know, just a suggestion. And the other question for housing is really easy. Can we name our houses with the ranking system coming out?
Yes, you'll be able to give your house a title or name that will appear there.
And for the raid ideas, is that any good, or are you gonna think about it, or?
You're saying you want a
like a trade skill raid, sort of, for 9 people.
Craft some armor for a dragon or something.
What are any immediate plans for that?
Just real quick, we have 12 minutes, and really would like to get through the line, so you guys can.
All right, 2 quick questions. One, before multi-housing came out, I owned 6 prestige houses, and now that they came out, I can use those 6. Thanks very much. I bought a couple of one in Ariak, one in Module, and the targeted one, so now I can teleport everywhere in the world. But you have all these new houses coming up, I can buy one more house. So there's the case of I want to give you my money with the station market, but you won't let me. Also with the module house, with every other house, if I fall through the world, I just get teleported safely back.
safely back to the front. With the modular house, if I fall through it, I die. Can that be like
Which modular house is that? 'Cause
the largest one, the 5-room modular house. If I fall through that one,
oh, the one that's actually in the city.
yeah, the one that's actually in the city of modular, the non-prestige house.
I wasn't aware of that. I'll make sure that our team looks into it. And as far as your limit on houses that you can own, obviously if you want to give us more money, we're generally very happy about that. So. It's actually something I've already talked about with Smoke Jumper. I know he's letting it sort of percolate around in his mind. But yeah, we're definitely looking into that, and we'll let you know when we reach any conclusion.
You can buy the deed, you don't have to buy the house.
No point, they're not giving you money for nothing. At least let something happen.
Yeah, it's very easy for us to change that. We did that limit so that we can keep an eye on performance and all that, so we'll consider that.
I like to admit that I am an EQ2 hoarder, and station cash is the devil, by the way.
Last year, put on a good idea for a TV show.
Last year I brought up the issue of my main character, very first character I made, that literally appearance slot items have taken over my bank space. And we discussed last year, I brought up the idea of maybe creating some sort of wardrobe that you could put in your house where you can store those items to free up your bank space.
We really want to do something like that. Our feelings for doing that hasn't really changed. It's crazy how fast a year goes by, and we haven't had time to get to anything like that yet. But we certainly recognize that that's something we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, we just
Right, call it a wardrobe. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's something we definitely want to do, and it's on our big to-do list of things. So hopefully,
I still have station cash crates that I haven't opened yet because I have nowhere to put them.
Right.
My other thing with regards to housing is housing pets. Is there any way to add a command for the pet that when you place the pet in your house, you can make it stay there without roaming around?
Yeah, that's something I think one of us even started looking into that, and it's something we don't have any problem doing either. Just gotta find the time to make it happen. So we'll add that to the list.
And then my last question about housing is, you've introduced all these really cool new houses and stuff like that we can get. My only question is, what is with the stadium housing? It's like really hard to like make a comfy living room in something that's literally the size of a stadium. Why are they so large to scale? And it's like really hard to place things on the walls and stuff like that.
Well, I know the dojo is like really cavernous, but we are trying to do a variety is the answer. So some will be small, like the dojo, which some people complain was too small, and some will be rather large, and some people will complain it's too large, and hopefully everyone can find one that suits them. But definitely look for a lot of different styles coming up.
Oh, the dojo is small.
Could we try and limit it to one question per person each so we can get through the
Well, thank you very much. You guys are doing a great job.
Okay, well, thank you for putting the fun back in Tradeskills. I didn't get a chance to say that because I haven't been to a fan fair since Chicago. But my main question, I guess, I'll go with that one, is can we please take the paintings of orcs out of the game and put something a little more entertaining and usable and classy in for carpenter? Because, I'm sorry, 5 paintings of orcs does nothing for me. If 5 recipes are never used,
It's just personal preference, right? We have a big log of paintings and we just kind of fit them all in.
but all the big ones are orcs. I mean, really, all of them are.
Somebody loved orcs.
Okay, I have a thank you very much for the Tradeskilling. I am a provisioner, and I do absolutely love the fact that I can push one craft and do a stack of food for each of my tunes. Thank you very much for that. But I do have a question for the housing department. I am a role player, and I own one of the 4-room, 5-room, I only see halas houses. Unfortunately, there's no music. Can we get music, please? There is no housing music like you would have in a Kino's house. Is there a way, I don't know if it's you guys or somebody else that I need to bug about it, but I'd like to get music in the house.
Yeah, I don't know who would make that decision, but we can certainly bring it up when we get back and talk about it with the artists and the other designers.
Thank
look into it.
I'm not sure how simple this is, but it sounds simple. There are all these walls that carpenters can make. And now with the new Thurgood house, there are no stone walls. The marble doesn't blend with the stone. And the Coldane aren't going to make wooden walls. Can we get stone walls?
Okay. So I'm a decorator. I love decorating. Like, that's my favorite part of the game is decorating. I decorate other people's houses more than I decorate my own. And we were all really excited when they finally came out with doors. However, I have to say, as a decorator, they were a huge letdown. There are so many things wrong with them. They don't scale right. The Kelvin door isn't even shaped to fit a Kelvin door. It's triangular. Kelvin doors are round. And you can't, so you either scale them too big, too large. You can't even put them in the doorways because they won't sit in there. They turn right. You can't place them there. They open on the wrong axis. Even if you rotate it, it opens the wrong direction. Can we please get them fixed? We waited so long for doors and they don't work. Well, there's a couple answers to that. The doors were sort of something we were trying out to see if they worked and see if people liked them and really to see what people would do with them because we didn't really know. They weren't ever intended to fit in the doorways of the houses of the cities they're themed to because even within a city you've got 3 or 4 different sizes of houses and they've all got different doorways anyway, so that we couldn't make one door that would fit them all. So we picked a nice shape, and we figured that a lot of the decorators would probably be using them in walls they themselves had built. Now that said, that was the first pass. It was always our intention, if people really liked them, to play around and probably add some more doors, so you can probably expect to see more coming in the future. I can't promise you specific shapes or themes, but yeah, that hopefully answers your question.
It's just that they make them to test to make sure they scale properly and their axes are right, because those are wrong.
Since we're going right to Q&A after this, we're going to go ahead and finish all the trade skill that's currently in the line, and then we'll shift over to the Q&A.
This is a very weird event that I experienced. I have a very diligent maintained cleric, Templar, and we sat him one night. So what he decided to do in our Tier 3 guild hall was fill every possible crevice with groups of training dummies. And the raid had to destroy every single one of them. Is there a way to get rid of them with a single click?
Yeah, I think we can make an ad in that. I think we can do that. By the way, your Boston last night in karaoke was awesome.
Thank you.
Since we can buy prestige homes through station cash, but only prestige homes, is there a way we could buy an item to make our traditional home free so we don't have to keep paying status and rent on it?
Wow. It's not something we've currently got planned. We'll discuss it, but there are reasons that we generally like to take money out of the economy too, so we'll talk about it, but I won't promise it.
Hello, I'm an alcoholic. I have a lot of alts, and I've noticed when trade skillings that the difficulty of crafting, especially on the rush rigs, is a lot more difficult at level 20 than at level 70 or 80. You basically, if you fail one counter at level 20, you don't finish the rush rig, you tend to fail it, take 8 minutes, but at 90, you could be having a beer, watching TV, making Ranger jokes in chat, and not even pay attention and still get it. Is this to be adjusted at all? Because it seems kind of the opposite of how the difficulty curve should be.
Well, I think the rationale is that as you level up, you get better, right?
Yeah.
Call it almost easy to use.
That's true. I was kind of going with that one. But yeah, as you level up, you may not obviously notice it, but I guess the benefits that you get from those trade skill reaction arcs actually increase about every 10 levels. So as you gain in levels in trade skill, you do get better. You do make things quicker. It wouldn't be a lot of fun if the more you crafted, the longer and more painful it was. And I don't want to enjoy it.
Yeah. True.
Hi there. 2 suggestions. Can we get a box
for mailing multiple items to one person? I have a sage, I make somebody 15 spells, I have to type their name out 15 times.
Just the ability to mail multiple things.
Yeah, like a crate that a carpenter would work to make, and it's a mailing crate.
Yeah.
Holds 20 things or whatever, and you just ship it off to one person.
We can look into that. There's a couple ways we can handle it. One, since our mail goes through our universal UChat system, we prefer to not have to get them to make changes to that. But we do have the MISC bag system. We maybe could come up with a way for you to pack them in a box and then mail that box. We can look into it and see.
My other suggestion is if you change them in AA, which I really like, but I have a level 90 carpenter who's a level 9 adventurer on a PvP server, so I am not leveling him to 10 so that he can get ganked. But I busted my ass to get him to 90 and do the gathering obsession and all that, but he gets no AA because he's only 9. So can we open it up so that when you get to 10 in crafting or adventuring, you can get an A? That's the name.
It seems like a reasonable suggestion. It's not something we actually thought about. Congratulations on that achievement, by the way.
Harvesting in Riverdale is not easy.
Did you say harvesting in Riverdale is not easy?
At 9, it's not
It should be now. I just totally revamped it. No, even at level 9. Yeah, up there in the front, you can get into everything.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 suggestions. Right now in the homes you can right-click and change your type of flooring or type of walls. Can we get that in our guild halls? Because the only way to change the blue tile in the Kino's guild hall is to lay down lots of carpet or tile or something, which goes good driving.
That question's come up a couple times. It's more for our artists and zone designers. The biggest problem with doing that is they said it was very time-consuming. That system was, I guess, very difficult to implement early on, and they did it for the houses that the game launched with, but they've avoided doing that on any newer houses because I don't know if it doubles the amount of time to make a new house or what, but whatever it is, it's not very easy for them to do. So it's like we could either give you another house or we could spend more time on making one more customizable. I think we've just gone for trying to do more houses. So it's just a time thing, really.
All right, and the other suggestion was that in the houses, you have different floors and types for wherever the house is at, whatever city. Would it be possible to make all those different types available for every house? So if you want to do some type of decorating thing, you can just change the type of floor, change the type of wall, and it doesn't, again, go into your item count because you're not trying to build something that's available somewhere else.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same answer. Part of the problem in the time is in the way the house is structured. Like in the older homes, they're a little simpler where you have just a floor and a wall, and then a lot of the newer homes you have more ornate pillars and things like that. And so I think it's the geometry and the structure of the home and the way the shaders are laid out makes it not easy to just take those existing textures and just apply them to the other house. So it's kind of the same answer. It could probably be done if you spend enough time on it. But
just a quick point. You're going to be the last question that's related to specifically the trade skill panel, and then we're going to take like a couple minute break here, everyone up here, and then start the Q&A. Is that cool? Thumbs up.
I'm an avid decorator. I just love decorating houses. I have every prestige house, and one of the things that I'm finding is difficult. I can go to my Krana's house and toss up a picture on any wall, but I go into geometry of all the new houses, and I can't get, Craigmore State's the worst. You can't get a painting up on a wall. You have to create artificial walls with paintings on them. If you go into the little library house, you can't put books on the second shelves. There's all sorts of problems like that where the houses aren't working. And it's in the geometry of the houses. It's something that really needs to be looked at because it's difficult if you're a simplistic decorator instead of building all these huge things. And I just want to toss up a few paintings and put in a couch and a carpet, and I can't do that.
We can follow up with our team on that. I wasn't aware of an issue with the Mesmeric Estate, so I'll definitely let them know to check that out. If there's any specific ones other than those two that you know are an issue, maybe you could send me a PM and I'll follow up. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming to the Trade Skills and Housing Forum.
One second. just to kind of cover something, I just want you guys to understand that we in no way belittle the amount of effort Tradeskills put into the game, and we do everything we can to represent all aspects of gameplay. So, you know, the stuff that happened earlier, I apologize if anyone was offended, or if any of you thought that we thought your effort was nothing. We do put a lot of work into